You don't give orders here. This ain't justice!
Please stop this!
Stay out of this, woman! Oh, or what?
The wind howled through the dusty streets of the frontier town like a warning from the past, carrying with it the scent of fear, judgment, and fate. The entire town had gathered in the square, their faces hard and merciless beneath the blazing western sun. On the wooden platform stood a young woman, her hands trembling, her tear-stained face pale against the torn fabric of her worn dress. The noose swayed beside her like a cruel whisper of death. She was accused, condemned, and abandoned by everyone who once knew her. And before her stood the sheriff, a man whose word in that town was law stronger than iron. His voice, cold and final, echoed across the crowd as he raised his hand to signal the end. But just as the moment of doom approached, the sound of heavy boots stepping forward broke the silence, and a voice roughened by grief and loss spoke words that would change everything forever. "I'll take her place." The crowd gasped, turning their attention toward the stranger who had dared to challenge death itself. He was a widowed cowboy, known across the plains as a quiet man who carried sorrow in his eyes and strength in his bones. His name was Daniel Cross, a man who had buried his wife years ago after sickness stole her from him, leaving behind a hollow space in his heart that no time could fill. Since that day, he wandered the frontier, helping strangers, avoiding attachments, and living as if his own life held little value. Yet something in the terrified eyes of the condemned woman stirred a forgotten fire within him, a memory of love, of compassion, of promises once made to protect the helpless. The sheriff narrowed his eyes, stepping down from the platform. "This ain't your concern, cowboy," he said sternly, his hand resting on the handle of his revolver. But Daniel did not flinch. He walked forward slowly, each step steady, each breath calm, until he stood at the base of the gallows. The dusty wind lifted his coat, revealing scars etched across his weathered hands, signs of a life filled with battles, losses, and survival. "No soul deserves to die unheard," he said quietly, his voice carrying across the silent square. "If there's a life to be taken today, take mine instead." Whispers erupted among the townsfolk. Some called him mad, others called him brave, but none could deny the courage standing before them. The young woman on the platform stared down at him, her eyes wide with disbelief. No one had ever spoken for her before. She had been judged guilty of a crime she swore she did not commit, accused of murdering a wealthy landowner who had long oppressed the town's poor. But truth had no place in a town ruled by fear and power. The sheriff studied Daniel carefully, sensing something unbreakable in the man's gaze. "You'd die for a stranger?" he asked. Daniel's eyes lifted toward the trembling woman, and for a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. "I'd die for what's right," he answered simply. The tension in the air grew thick. The sheriff was a man bound by law but haunted by conscience. He had seen innocent blood spilled before, had enforced orders he secretly questioned, and the unwavering resolve of the widowed cowboy shook something deep within him. Yet the crowd demanded justice, their hunger for punishment louder than reason. The woman's voice suddenly broke the silence, fragile but desperate. She confessed her innocence, telling of how the dead landowner had threatened her family, how she had fled his house the night of his death, and how powerful men twisted the truth to protect themselves. Her words, once ignored, now carried weight because someone had chosen to listen. Daniel climbed the steps of the platform slowly and stood beside her, not as a savior but as a shield. "Fear makes monsters of men," he told the crowd, his voice strong. "But mercy makes us human." His words pierced the hardened hearts of many who had gathered, and doubt began to ripple through the mob like a spreading flame. An old man stepped forward from the crowd, revealing evidence he had long been afraid to share, proof that the landowner had been killed in a drunken quarrel with his own associates. One by one, others found courage, their silence breaking under the weight of the cowboy's sacrifice. The truth, once buried beneath fear, rose like a storm. The sheriff's face hardened as he realized the terrible mistake that had been made. Slowly, he lowered his hand, and the order of execution was withdrawn. The rope was removed, and the young woman collapsed in tears, overwhelmed by relief. The crowd dispersed in shame, their thirst for judgment replaced by quiet reflection. But the story did not end there. The woman, whose name was Clara, turned to Daniel with gratitude shining through her tears. She asked him why he would risk his life for someone he did not know. Daniel's answer was simple yet powerful. because once, someone saved mine with kindness when I had nothing left to live for. Days passed, and the town began to change. The sheriff sought justice instead of blind obedience, the people learned compassion over cruelty, and Clara found a new beginning working alongside Daniel at his quiet ranch on the edge of the plains. The widowed cowboy who once believed his life held no purpose discovered that sacrifice had given him something greater than survival, it had given him meaning. And as sunsets painted the sky with colors of hope, Daniel realized that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that another's life matters more than one's own. His act of bravery became a legend whispered across the Wild West, reminding all who heard it that even in the harshest lands, humanity can prevail. This story reminds us that one voice can stop injustice, one act of courage can inspire change, and one sacrifice can save countless lives. If this powerful tale of bravery, compassion, and redemption touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share this story with others, and continue supporting more unforgettable journeys from the Wild West, where heroes are born not by strength alone, but by the courage to stand for what is right.